Let me ask you guys something. Do you like damage? Of course you do. That's a dumb question. But do you like to see 2 billion damage and just crazy amounts of damage that damages your sense of damage?
Oh, that's a lot of damage.
What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with a crazy 2 billion damage Kullervo build. And it's not your typical Kullervo build because I'm not using Wrathful Advance as my main way to deal that damage, but it's going to be a tool to help us out. Now, this build is revolved around doing slam damage. For those who've been out of the loop or haven't played the game for a while, you're used to slam damage being quite weak, as it only scaled with slam damage mods and other types of multipliers. But recently, with the changes, slam damage scales with pretty much everything melee related, except range, which is unfortunate. I'll get to that. Slam damage, just like heavy attacks, are affected by the type of weapon you use. Some weapons do have better slam damage, and the ones that people usually gravitate towards are hammers, as hammers have the best slam damage bonus. Now, slam damage has two categories: your light slams and your heavy slams. So light slams are simply done by jumping and slamming, while heavy slams, of course, are heavy attack slams. You can see the animation is different, and the effect it leaves behind is, of course, more devastating, as it was a heavier slam. When you're fighting enemies, you have to realize slam doesn't scale with range. So no matter how much range you put, your slam radius does not increase. Only a few weapons have their slam radius increase when it comes to incarnate evolutions or probably a unique trait. Another thing is that slam damage has a slam radius that has damage fall off. So wherever you slam, you can see that's my radius right there. I slammed here and I hit enemies there, but I didn't do as much damage to that enemy. However, if I get closer, the damage is a lot stronger. Back in the days, slam damage was affected by direct hits and the slam radius itself. Now, direct hits are not included. It's all centered around where you slammed. So the center of impact will deal the most damage, while the outer part of the slam will have their damage reduced. So usually you'd want to get up close and slam on the enemy. But then you have to realize, even though you're really close, the damage isn't that great because it's the center of the slam that matters the most. That's where the most damage comes from. So this is the one issue that slam in general has, is because it has the slam radius and damage fall off. So it has a lot of inconsistencies. But there's a frame that fixes those inconsistencies, and you're looking at him, Kullervo. So what is so unique about Kullervo that fixes the damage inconsistencies when it comes to slam damage? It's all thanks to his collective curse. Now, this ability ties all these enemies together, and whoever takes damage spreads that damage to everyone that is tethered to this ability. So that means there is no damage fall off whatsoever. Whatever damage you deal to one target gets spread out to all the enemies. If I were to link enemies, hit them right here, notice how all of them took similar damage and died instantly with one slam, and I wasn't even near them. Compared to me just slamming right here, notice these enemies got hit, but nobody died. I mean, a few people died, but the rest of the enemies are still alive. Collective Curse fixes a lot of issues when it comes to slam damage inconsistencies. During on stream, I recently found out that slam damage and base damage are multiplicative to each other. So that's one piece of information that greatly improved this build as well. Now, having the two Nira mods here will give you that set bonus, as you can see at the bottom there, 200%. The third one is on a whip. Pretty useless. So having the two Nira mods, Arcane Fury, on your Warframe is going to be an insane boost when it comes to your damage. Of course, the weapon does matter when it comes to hammers. But just a little bit of combo we're able to do a lot of damage. Now, this build doesn't have crit chance, but it does have all the crit damage that we need, and it's going to be buffed thanks to Kullervo. So when it comes to hammers, the best in-slot hammer for this is going to be the Magister Incarnate. Not Sancti, the Magister Incarnate. Because it gives you that juicy crit damage and crit chance. The crit chance doesn't really matter for this particular loadout, but that crit damage increase, so good. Of course, it has that slam radius, and you even get more base damage along with this Incarnate activation. This is the best hammer for this loadout. And if we put it on someone like Kullervo with all the purple shards, I mean, that's a lot of critical damage. But for this particular showcase, I am using the Ekhein. It's one of the newer weapons. It's pretty decent, and it also has its unique traits. And when it comes to the build, it's the same build on all the hammers. And the one hammer I do not recommend is the Arca Titran. But yes, it does have its capacitor mechanic. But then you have to realize you have to build up those capacitor stacks when you kill enemies. So it requires a lot more button pressing than you just using Collective Curse and then bam, slamming on the enemies. So if you don't have the Magister Incarnate, the Ekhein is good. Or if you don't have the Ekhein, but you have the Fragor Prime, that's the next best thing. Now, I am using the Ekhein. This weapon does have a unique trait where it grants you bonus damage and attack speed when you perform a heavy attack. So right here, when you perform a heavy attack, you get that heavy insight buff, which grants you damage and attack speed. Pretty useful to have. And this is easily done with your regular heavy or a heavy slam. And every time you perform these heavy attacks, the buff refreshes. So you can have this up at all times. And because I'm using Kullervo, he's all about heavy attacks. So this buff is up 100% of the time. And you may have noticed whenever I perform a heavy attack and I get that effect, it turns into a giant pink lollipop. That's what it is. And when the buff runs out, it turns into a regular hammer. And I swear, these are the default colors. It's a pink lollipop. So now let's help you understand a bit more. You just saw a little demonstration of what it can do. Collective Curse is an ability that you cast. It sends out a wave, and any enemy that is hit by this wave gets tethered. And if you hit one enemy, they're going to share that damage. And this damage sharing scales with strength. You need to have 200% strength to get 100% damage spread. So this is the one thing about Kullervo. You always need to have 200% strength or higher, depending on your build, so you can have that damage spread. And the other important thing about this is that it doesn't scale in its angle. The range affects the distance it travels, but it doesn't increase its angle spread. But this ability is what makes Kullervo, not his Wrathful Advance. Kullervo is not a melee warframe per se, but more of a nuke warframe, thanks to his Collective Curse, because you can do this with any weapon. It doesn't necessarily have to be melee. For this particular build, Wrathful Advance is more of a utility tool that's going to buff our damage, but not our main damaging tool, because we're just going to cast Wrathful Advance away from enemies to get that critical chance buff. This is a flat crit chance buff that is applied after everything, and the best part is that it scales to tremendous levels, taking us into that red crit territory. So with my modded strength right now, I get 427% flat crit. Remember, you need to be at tier 3, that's 300% for red crits. But we're above that. The more crit chance you have, the more critical damage you also need, because it improves your damage. And that's where we're gonna go into our Archon Shards. Notice I have all purple Tau. All of these Archon Shards are going to greatly boost my critical damage. Pay attention, because a lot of people misunderstand this shard. Gain 37%, this is only for Tau. Of course, it's a bit lower on regulars. Melee critical damage. Okay, that's your base, 37%. But when max energy, this is maximum energy, not your current energy. Max energy and current energy are two different things. I'll explain. When max energy is over 500, the damage boost is doubled. So that 37% gets doubled. If my max energy right there is over 500, this is my max energy, meaning the modded energy or whatever type of energy that you have as a whole, not your energy bar filled. Current energy is your energy bar filled in a mission. So as long as your total energy is above 500, that 37% is then doubled. Hope you understand that. Another thing that also boosts our critical damage is our companion. Right now, I'm using the Panzerwurzelpfeiler. You haven't seen this guy in a hot minute, but some people still use him. The Panzerwurzelpfeiler is a Kavant, so it offers a few things. Number one, it spreads viral, which is pretty nice to debuff your enemies. Here's another thing. Kavants have a very high critical chance, and you can boost that critical chance to then boost your critical damage. Let's have a look at the build. Now, the first three mods here, Swipe, Viral Quills, and Tandem Bond. These will synergize with Kullervo, as these help me gain combo passively, and Viral Quills is a viral primer that spreads viral. Now, for those who don't understand, let me show you. So, when I take my Panzer out here into combat, I'm not hitting anything right now. It's gonna start attacking enemies, spreading its viral, and you're gonna see my combo go up passively. You see right there, we got a 12 2 times. This is without me attacking, by the way, 4 times. So this is passive combo gain. Now, he will only do this when you're in combat, meaning when enemies are attacking and you're actually attacking. Right there, I'm 5 times combo. This is without me even touching the enemies. 10 times combo. Pretty cool. 12 times combo. I didn't hit anything. It's all thanks to the Panzer doing its thing. And I can easily maintain this because the Kavat will be attacking things. So besides the first 3 mods that passively grant you combo, you also have Bite. This grants me crit chance, crit damage, but the important part is the crit chance part because it takes my companion's crit chance over 50%. Why do we need it to be over 50%? Well, it's to trigger Tenacious Bond. Don't care about the first part, but read the second bit. If the companion's critical chance is over 50%, then you gain a 1.2 times final critical damage multiplier. As you can see, we're at 86%. Now, the thing that's also going to help you with energy is Synth Deconstruct. Enemies injured by the companions. So when it throws out its viral doo-doo on enemies, that's an assist and it's your companion dealing damage. So when those viral procs are applied on the enemies, you killing them will drop health orbs. And picking up health orbs will convert into energy thanks to equilibrium. So that's the whole synergy with the pet and your Warframe. The Helminth ability in question is Nourish. Nourish provides me a viral elemental damage multiplier. Another thing is that Kullervo can use his second ability to build combo. This second ability also is his main survivability tool, as it gives him Overguard. When you pair the third ability and the second ability, of course you get more, because every enemy is hit. At the same time, this also allows you to build up combo by attacking enemies. So that's another way to build up your combo passively. Now, to maintain that combo, I'm using 2 dexterity arcanes on my guns. So my DMT right here, which is the Rauta, has a dexterity arcane. This, if I want to build up combo by just shooting enemies, because that's its unique thing. Every pellet that hits an enemy gives combo. So this is another way to get combo. And I have my Favonius Codex. This is just for some energy gain if I lose it or something happens, of course. We have the Invocation and the Canticle, but another Dexterity Arcane. And this gives my melee a pretty high combo duration. So in Steel Path, I'm just going to cast my Book Alternate Fire, hit enemies with the second ability, perform 2 Void Slings, cast my Helminth ability, Nourish, and build up some energy. Let's just hack away. We already have 12 times combo, and I didn't hit any enemies with my melee. That's pretty cool. So, let's cast our Wrathful Advance, link enemies, and then boom. Look at that damage right there. Beautiful. So make sure enemies are linked before you slam them. Oh, that's perfect. We get even more strength here. Oh, hundreds and millions of damage. The game just froze right there because I just did crazy amounts of damage. All right, let's quickly build up combo. 2 billion damage right there. It's compact numbers, I know. This is a lot easier on the eyes. But yeah, you can see it's a lot of damage. Woo! 2 billion damage. Just to show you, all of this is done right here. No trickery, no allies buffing my damage. There's no eclipse, no roar, just proper modding. And of course, weapon and Warframe synergy, another 2 billion damage. Make sure your combo's up high, and then slam. Now, you may have noticed another thing, right? I'm not jumping up into the air and slamming. It's because you just have to be off the ground and face your character to the floor and then perform a slam. Simple as that. You don't have to jump so high. The Matter Eye Focus School also has Void Strike. You can activate Void Strike for some more damage. Look at that. Another 2 billion. Alright, taking a look at that Kullervo build. In the arcanes, you want to have Arcane Fury for our base damage. And for our energy management, you can either run Arcane Energize or Arcane Steadfast. So these are the two that I'm using. Now in the aura, I'm running Corrosive Projection, and of course is a huge damage increase. Reducing enemy armor allows you to deal even more damage to the enemies. Now to increase my critical damage with the Archon Shards, all I need to have is a primed flow. Right now my energy went from 225 all the way up to 641 with just one mod, and with this energy boosts my critical damage thanks to those purple Archon Shards. Now to increase the range for Collective Curse, I'm going to be using Reach and Stretch. This gives me 175% range, and this gives me a reach of 43 meters. Unfortunately, it's still stuck at its own angle, and the angle does not increase. To increase the strength, which does affect my Collective Curse, Nourish, and Wrathful Advance, I'll be running Blind Rage. This drops my efficiency but gives me 99% strength. Since I have Nourish, this negative efficiency is not going to hurt me. And in the Exilus, I have Power Drift. So this gives me 214 strength. This is enough strength to give me 100% damage redirection with Collective Curse and 400 freaking crit chance and a decent amount of energy multiplier and viral damage. Now to boost my slam damage even further, not only with Arcane Fury, but the slam damage multiplier, I do have the Nira set. Both of the Nira mods are in the D polarity. This one grants me parkour velocity. Don't care about that. You just want the second part, increase slam damage. And then you shove in the other Nira mod. This increases my health and gives me some duration. Pretty good. These two Nira mods grant me 200% slam damage without even modding it on my melee. But we're going to mod the melee as well with even more slam damage. Don't worry about that. And now to upkeep my buffs, I will put Prime Continuity. Prime Continuity and Nira's Hatred grants me 170% duration. This is pretty huge because this grants me 17 seconds on Wrathful Advance and a massive 42 seconds on Nourish. And then finally, to maintain my energy. For energy maintenance, apart from Arcane Steadfast, I have Equilibrium. Remember the companion build. This synergizes with this mod as well. So this is my Kullervo loadout. Make sure you have 200% strength, the two Nira mods needed to bonk your enemies without losing damage. Now taking a look at the Ekhein build. Its unique trait: heavy attacks grant 80% damage and 20% attack speed. Remember, when you heavy slam, you see the little ball glow pink and it turns into a lollipop? Yeah, that's the unique trait taking effect. What you want to have here in the arcane is melee exposure. When you cast abilities, you get corrosive damage. This is 240% corrosive damage on the melee weapon without you having to mod for it. We already have viral from Nourish, and you have exposure right here. I have my base damage with Prime Pressure Point and Prime Fury, Seismic Wave plus the two Nira mods. Now I have a 400% slam damage multiplier. Remember, your base damage and slam mods are multiplicative to each other, so it's huge to have both. And then you have your faction damage multiplier, which multiplies that damage as well. And right here I have Focus Rad On. This grants me radiation and heavy attack efficiency. Kullervo's passive only grants him enough heavy attack efficiency, but not 90%. So we're at 75% with just his passive. Put this mod on, we get radiation and heavy attack efficiency. So this is 90%, which is the maximum. So he doesn't lose that much combo when he performs those heavy slams. Now the last two mods here are for your combo increase. True Punishment and Quickening grant me additional combo when I attack enemies. But the best part is, these two mods synergize with Kullervo's second ability. Remember, when you hit enemies with the daggers, you get combo. So if you have True Punishment and Quickening for the combo count chance, you get even more combo with this ability. That's the cool synergy right there. Hence why I use these. All right, folks, that has been it for me, and I hope you enjoy this 2 billion damage Kullervo build. You can put it together and flex on your friends. And to be honest, I did the 2 billion damage without the Archon Shards. I just wanted you to think about that. If you've enjoyed and learned something from this video, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, a peace. Bye-bye now.